Now on Friday, just a few days later, signs of the flooding are still left over. On Tuesday, this is where the water line was. And if you look over here, you can see the flooding deposited all this sediment into the cement. If you look at the creek, lots of debris is still left over. 4 kids were shot, the youngest only 3 years old. Now all 7 victims are expected to survive, but 2 of the kids are still here at Children's Hospital. This gives you a good look at the destructive power of the tornado that ripped through this farm. It basically folded this structure in half like a piece of paper. This video is from a security camera at a home near 28th and Ida. Detectives say that's where they found 51-year-old Jason McKillop while he was on the run from another crime. We have a 12-week abortion ban in Nebraska. That's 3 months after conception. If that was on your desk, if that bill was on your desk, would you sign that nationwide? Yeah, Rob, Julie, here it is. I was here around noon today, and look, it's gotten even worse. You can see the wood spilling up, out over the bank of the creek. They're measuring the Elkhorn River at 2 feet. Other parts of it, like right here, are just a sandbar. Reporting and boarding at Mount Crescent, Sean MacKinnon, KTV Newswatch 7. In a rocky world, Zorinsky Lake helped calm the waters of Matthew Johnson's mind. It's these shores where his father, Eric, feels close to him.
For the quiet times, he would come here and he would fish and he would just relax.
Johnson says his son was fighting depression, bipolar disorder, and was self-medicating.
He would tell me that he would wake up in the morning and the first thing on his mind was, dang it, I'm alive. And I just said, son, that's a blessing.
He says they tried to get Matthew help.
He felt like he was a burden. He said that so many times. And his mom and I told him, look, we will pay for treatment. We will pay for the doctor, psychologist, or psychiatrist to talk to you and help diagnose, re-diagnose you, because he had already been diagnosed once.
But Matthew wouldn't let his dad in.
He told me that. He goes, I'm supposed to be able to do this on my own. I can't be weak. I have to be a man. I have to be able to do this. I have to fix this. There's some things you can't fix on your own. But he just felt like every day was something that he just couldn't handle. And he fought for a long time, but yeah.
It was around 1 a.m., Sunday, September 10th, 103rd and Pacific. Omaha police say Matthew called 911 and said he was looking for an officer to shoot. When officers arrived, Matthew reportedly held a gun to his head, then pointed it at a car driving by before finally aiming it at officers. Then police shot and killed him.
We don't hold any resentment or animosity toward the police at all. Matthew made the decision that he made. I know in my heart of hearts that he never would have pulled the trigger on anybody else. We've been praying for them. We've been praying for the paramedics who had to work on him.
Johnson says Matthew promised his mother he'd never take his own life.
Meaning he would never pull the trigger. But he told us, I can't promise that somebody else won't. So he had alluded to suicide by police before. We had talked to the police about it before. They were very gracious, and when they had to go look for him one time, they knew that it was a mental health issue. If they had his full history, they may have made a different decision, but the police don't have that luxury. They need to protect the public. They need to protect their brotherhood and their sisterhood and themselves. I don't blame them in any way, shape, or form.
Matthew was a father of 3. Johnson says they felt they had to tell the kids the truth.
The kids know what they need to know, not the full details, but they had to have an understanding. And within the first week, a little boy told my granddaughter that, her dad was shot for a reason, kind of thing. It's like, they know that at 7 years old is devastating to me.
Despite all his pain, Matthew loved deeply.
To the people that he loved and the people that he cared about, he was dedicated.
He was a hardworking mechanic.
Multiple people broken down in the shop and just cried, and it's a tragic loss. He was always there for them. He had all these things surrounding him that told him, Daddy, I love you. You're the greatest, you're superhero, all these different things, but again, he didn't internalize it. He didn't believe it for himself.
Matthew's decision 2 weeks ago brings a lifetime of memories flooding back in. For Johnson, this means losing his only son.
He was our firstborn. He's my boy. He learned to ride a bike at Boys Town. He climbed his first tree there. All these things that were his first were our firsts.
Matthew couldn't see the love around him, but it was there.
No matter how alone you think you are, you're not. Reach out to someone who cares about you and ask them to help you find resources. Because if you just do that step If it's somebody who truly cares about you, they're going to bend over backwards to help you.
And for those who feel like the water is too choppy and life is too hard, Eric says leaving this world leaves a lot more pain behind.
More than you'll ever know. And I hope you never know.
Sean MacKinnon.
Thanks for being here.
KETV, Newswatch 7. At Omaha's publicly owned power utility, the top executives make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. After Thursday night's unanimous board vote, the execs are getting a pay bump. This comes as OPPD raised rates on customers in 2023 and 2024. But now we're giving people who are making $300,000, $400,000, and $500,000 a year an additional raise. Do you think that's going to sit well with the public? The board chair, Eric Williams, says the rate increase was below the national inflation rate. OPPD also touts electricity in Omaha is still some of the cheapest in the country. As for the executives' raises, Williams says they're still being paid less than execs on both public and private utility companies of a similar size. Could you say which cities or which power districts we compared to in the study?
Yeah, I don't have that information specifically, but I do have people who might be able to provide that to you.
But an OPPD spokesperson told KETV Investigates they would not share that information, saying the market analysis study is not public. Williams says the exec raises will not affect customer rates.
It does not independently lead to the need for a rate increase in the future. It didn't in the last 2 years, and we don't expect it will in the future.
That includes the CEO's raise. Javier Fernandez will get a $72,000 bump to take him to a salary of $856,000 annually. The board says the CEO will still be in the bottom fourth of what energy company execs get paid.
No, we are not attempting to have our CEO compete with the CEO of a very, very large private utility, but we do compare ourselves, again, to both public and private utilities of similar size.
He starts tensing up.
Iowa mother Nicole Dawson and her baby boy.
Yeah.
6-week-old Lincoln.
Hi, buddy.
Are stuck in the hospital in Omaha.
I know it's hot in here, huh?
She's not here for his newborn checkups. Instead, Lincoln is being monitored and medicated. He's having up to 40 seizures every hour.
They're just back to back. I mean, he'll have 5 seizures within seconds. I'm constantly worrying if he's breathing. When's the next, seizure gonna happen?
During pregnancy, Lincoln was diagnosed with a rare brain condition, hemimegalencephaly. Nicole wasted no time, even tracking down the nation's leading experts at Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. Shortly after birth, Lincoln started having seizures. Doctors Taba Anwar and Monica Pearls say the clock was already ticking.
That he needs to come like today, yesterday even.
Dr. Anwar says without help, Lincoln will become severely developmentally disabled, or worse, his seizures could kill him. Children's National says they have a solution, a procedure they've performed on 9 babies over the last decade with successful results.
So is this a life-saving procedure?
Yeah, I would say so. Life-saving, life-altering, life-changing procedure, for sure.
They're ready to operate, but Lincoln still has not received treatment. The holdup? Nicole's provider, Molina Insurance through Iowa Medicaid, denied to cover the procedure on August 7th.
They're basically telling me he has to be on the verge of death before they'll even give him the help that he needs.
After an appeal, 2 days later, Molina Healthcare denied coverage again.
It's just hard to, look at him and then just know that he's looking at me for comfort, and I can't do anything. My hands are tied. I don't know what to do.
That's when Nicole reached out to us for help. KETV Investigates contacted Molina Insurance and Iowa Medicaid. After several attempts, Molina Insurance refused to answer our questions, saying they respect patient privacy and deal directly with members to address concerns. Iowa Medicaid said it could not give specifics on the case, but in a statement on August 15th told us, there are scenarios that require additional steps for consideration. For example, experimental or exploratory care is not covered by Medicaid unless all other clinical standards have been exhausted. That consideration came Tuesday, the same day we got that statement, at an emergency hearing, as both the insurance company and DC doctors got to present their case to a judge.
I don't see other centers being prepared to do this on any level, just not even the procedure, but just the pre and post procedure care.
Legal documents show a doctor testifying on behalf of Molina Insurance said the standard course of treatment was a hemispherectomy, an invasive surgery where the affected portion of the brain is removed, or a hemispherotomy where it's disconnected. But Dr. Pearl argues it's dangerous for babies as young as Lincoln and says the treatment they developed is safe and proven.
A revolutionary treatment because these babies had no options before.
The judge agreed, reversing Molina's decision to deny coverage, recommending Lincoln get care in Washington.
There is no alternative here. It needs to be done at Children's National.
Yeah, exactly right.
2 days after that hearing, the moment Nicole fought so hard for, she and baby Lincoln boarded a medical flight from Omaha's Eppley Airfield to our nation's capital. Nicole says she's nervous for the procedure, as any mother would be.
Lincoln, nice to meet you.
But as Lincoln arrives at Children's National Hospital, she's grateful he's getting the highest level of care. Nicole says her baby's health was turned into a legal battle, one entrusted to the scales of justice that weighed just heavy enough to save her baby boy.